that. Like I find I don't get much back from it. I think it's maybe too vague sometimes for people to work with. Although that being said, I guess I have seen some people. Scott Pianowski does a good job sometimes of I'll see him throw out a trade block, like a league-wide email, and then like 12 hours later, I'll see him make a trade. So it does happen. I've never had great experiences with it. So I will usually make my initial offers like they'll be like if they're not my best offer, they'll be pretty close. And often I think they are like pretty much my best offer, but in there we're gonna try to we can massage the players a bit because sometimes maybe I'll offer a trade and then someone will write me back and be like, oh, like I don't like the guy you're sending. Like he's not one of my guys. I don't like that guy. And I'm like, okay, sure. Well, we'll just go in another direction here. Maybe we can still make it work. So I try not to send really bad offers. Once in a while, someone will construe it that way because they just don't like someone that I have, especially maybe some of the more polarizing players. Like a Luis Castillo a couple months ago. Like, what was that guy worth? Well, to some people, he was still worth a lot. To some people, some people were dropping him in shallow leagues. So, I try to make a pretty good offer at the beginning. I try to make an offer. If I'm sending an email instead of making an offer, which I may do especially if it's someone I know pretty well, there'll probably be an offer or at least the bones of an offer in that email. Like, hey, I'm looking to get a shortstop. You've got this guy and this guy. I've got starting pitching to deal. Can you name me? Here are my names of my starters. Can you tell me a couple starters on my team you like? And then I will offer to do the work. So I'll say, you tell me a couple of my starters you like, and I will send you an offer for a shortstop, like one or two offers for a shortstop that I hope you'll like. I try to do the legwork for them and make the process like if I want to do the trade, so I'm going to do the work and make things easier for them.
Right. Do you find that if you're giving final offers or something close to it, I don't know. There's always negotiation. Do you find it works better, or is that more of a long-term play? Because hey, if you're going to trade with Fred Zinkie, that's his best offer. He's not going to change it. Does that help you in the long run? You think?
Yeah, I mean, I'll change a lot. So, and one thing that I try to do is I try to give the other owner as much control over the process as possible. So, I'll say to them I'll ask them can you name a couple infielders on my team you like, or name a couple starters on my team you like, or I might say I need to get this pitcher. I want to get Brandon Woodruff from you. I need a pitcher. You've got Brandon Woodruff and Carlos Rodon and Clayton Kershaw. Let's say Kershaw is healthy right now. I'd really like to get one of them. You tell me which one you want to give me, and then I'll make an offer for him. You tell me I try to give the other person
Right.
as much control over the trade negotiations as possible. I find that works well for people because it sounds kind of pie in the sky to say we're looking to make both people happy, but we are, especially if you're going to play in these leagues for a long time, and especially because we all value the players differently. I would order those three. If Kershaw was healthy, I'd probably go Woodruff, Kershaw, Rodon. But if we went around the room, you guys might order them differently. So if I was approaching you for a trade, I might say, you got all three. Which one do you want? Which one do you want to deal? And then we'll start from there. Again, that gives you more control over the process and makes it more likely we'll find something that you like.
Uwe?
Yeah, I agree, because if you send out an offer that's just totally off the wall, or in quote unquote insulting the intelligence of the other team or the other player, they're not going to want to. Number one, they're not going to want to trade with you. Number two, they're not going to think you're serious. And number three, sometimes they'll send an email blast to the rest of the league making fun of that trade offer, and then that screws you up for the entire league. So you have to be very careful what kind of offers you send out, because if you send out the wrong type of offer, you may be not being able to make a trade in that league forever. And that in home leagues, that happens all the time. People say, this person, you can't trade with him because he's going to screw you over, because he's only looking for the best for him. He's not really thinking about both sides. But if you give a serious offer the first time, or a semi-serious offer that sort of makes sense for both teams, and you're able to rationale it out, saying that you need this, I need this, let's get this to work, and these two players or these three players fit the profile, then they'll be more serious, and the rest of the league will take you seriously also if that's what you do.
Yeah. Do you think there's such a thing as a bad offer that you send something and that's so insulting to somebody?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
There are sometimes. I try to always send. So with any offer, I try to send one short paragraph explaining my rationale behind it. When I say short paragraph, I'm going to say 3 sentences on average, maybe four, maybe two, but I'd say about 3 sentences, just saying like, hey, I'm looking for help in the steals category, preferably an infielder. I have extra starting pitching to deal. I noticed that you're behind a large group of teams in strikeouts, so I thought that maybe that, and you're third in steals, so I think that we're a good match. So now I've laid out kind of why I think this should be interesting to them, and then I might say something like, like out of a player A, B, and C, I'd like to get one of those players from you, and I thought you might like one of players X, Y, Z from me. So if this offer doesn't work for you, let me know who you do like from my pitching group. So I'm giving them an offer. I'm telling them why I think it makes sense from a categories perspective for both teams. And then I'm going to tell them why it makes sense, I think, from a talent perspective for both teams. But I'm also going to throw out that caveat of like, if you don't agree with me, like if I'm offering you, Corbin Burns, and you're like, I don't want Corbin Burns. He's already used up too many innings this year. Like, I'm not going to get enough innings out of him the rest of the way. Then I'm like, okay, cool, no problem. Like, Corbin Burns isn't the guy. Like, let's just figure out one of my other guys. So I try to explain it, but like, I don't want to write a novel for that other owner, because I don't think they want to hear that. And sometimes I'll back it up with a little stat. So for example, I made a trade the other day, and I just said to the person, like, not that the ESPN player rater is the be all and end all, but the two players we were trading were within 5 spots overall on the ESPN player rater. So, and I'm sure I could have gone to the Yahoo player rater and they would have been same type of thing. So I'm kind of saying like, hey, like some of these rating systems kind of have these guys really close to each other. Just kind of showing that if you think I'm out to lunch on it, like I'm probably not.
Right. Is there ever a situation where you would tell another player, another team, what your offer was and re-up someone? So, do you exclusively work with one team, or you say, all right, listen, I'm trying to unload this person, okay, what do you got? And then somebody tells you an offer, I'll give you this player, and you say, all right, but you know what, the other guy offered me that guy, you got to do better. Does that ever happen to you?
So I will never tell someone about negotiations with another team at all. So the most I would tell them was like, I've been also talking with Tom about trading him this player. That's all I'll tell him. So I will never tell, I feel like that's a breach of confidentiality. I will never tell the other owner, like, oh, Tom and I talked about this player and he was offering me this. Like, I never do that. I'll be honest. So I might say to someone like, hey, I'll move Corbin Burns, but just so you know, I am talking to another team or 2 other teams or whatever about moving a starting pitcher, and I'm only going to move one. So just so you know, and I'm not putting under any pressure, but like once I make a starting pitcher trade, whether it's Burns or one of my other aces, then I'm done trading a starting pitcher, I think. So I don't want to hold a gun to their head, but I'm just giving them like a little bit of perspective. But I would have, if possible, avoid saying who I was even talking to. And then if that even came out, like I would never ever say the contents of those negotiations. I just feel like I feel like trade talks. I would also, like Reuven was saying, like I personally would never, like if you offered me the worst trade in the world, I would not push it out to other people. Like I might tell one friend in the fantasy circles, and I probably wouldn't even use your name. I'd be like, oh my God, you're not going to believe this. I just got offered this for this. Like, why are people so crazy? But I wouldn't say anything to anyone else in my league. I wouldn't be like, LOL, everybody, just so you know, he offered me this for this. Like, he's so insulting. I honestly, I just write the person back and be like, hey, I don't think that offer's close for me. And then I just drop it.
Right. Ruben?
Yeah, I agree. You can bounce it off someone else. Say, you know what, I have an offer for this guy. Another team gave me another offer, and it's slightly better than yours. If you say that means
that's
push
okay.
the team you're negotiating with, that you're be able to get that last little bit or that one more player that you want. Just say, you don't have to say names. You don't have to say what players. Say, I have an offer for this player that I'm speaking to you about. It's just slightly better. Could you do a little bit better? If not, I may end up going with the other guy. It's I mean, it's your player to be and to be all and end all. You get to say wherever he goes. But if you're able to get a little bit more out of the team you're trading with, by all means, don't go crazy about it, but just be smart about it.
I think there's nothing wrong with saying that. Listen, I got another better offer from somebody else. And, short window here, I'm willing to work with you, but you've got to do better. I think there's nothing wrong with putting pressure. I mean, I do that in business. You put pressure on markets to get the best offer without telling them the other terms. You don't tell the exact terms. You just say, I've got a better number. You need to beat this,
Yeah, and I don't know about you guys, but, I've always, I never lie. So I've never, in the 10, 15 years I've been playing in expert leagues, I've never said to someone, I have another offer when I don't. I never do that to someone. I never say, well, I'm also talking to someone else about Corbin Burns, and I'm really not. I'm just trying to get them to push ahead and to make a better offer or something. I never lie because I just feel like that's bad karma, and it'll catch up with you at some point. At some point, you'll get tripped up in it or something. So, in fact, sometimes I'll even say to the other person, I've got nothing else on the go. So, if you want to talk trade about this guy, I'm in. But if you don't, that's okay. But, I got nothing else with anyone else on the go right now. And I
Right.
take the pressure right off.
Right. I want to talk a little bit about risk in trading. Something that nobody really talks about, or if they do, I'm sure there's not that many people talking about risk. But do you think that where your position is in the standings matter? And I say this because, if I have a lead, if I'm in first place, I think that the types of trades that I'm looking for are very different than the types of trades if I'm in 8th place. And even if I have the same roster, even if I have, some guy gets injured, I need to replace a certain amount of stats, it really matters where I am in the standing as to who I want to get and why I want to do it. Do you incorporate any of that kind of philosophy into when you're trading?
Yeah, I think that's totally true. If you're in the lead right now, diversifying could be, depends how
Right.
deep your roster is, but diversifying could be a good plan, right? And just picking up players who are super stable in their roles. Maybe you're in the lead right now and you've got a bit of a hot shot young guy with some name value to him, like an Alec Manoa or someone like that. Maybe you picked up Duran or something like that. Maybe just trading him for those guys for less risky players, veterans with secure jobs and secure track records. I mean, it still may not work. You can trade for the most reliable veteran and he can get hurt tomorrow. I mean,
Of
it
course,
can happen,
yeah.
but yeah, I think so. I think that's not a bad plan. And like you said, if you're in 8th place, trying to trade 4 players who are kind of risky, I think there's nothing wrong with making that move. Yeah, I think that's totally. I also think sometimes when you're making trades too with risk, you can get caught up in the trade talks and swept up, and sometimes we get swept up in what we're getting and not what we're giving up. And you really sometimes need to step back and think okay, am I being realistic in my expectations for these players that I'm getting? And sometimes you are, but you just need to step back and be okay, so I think of Alec Manoa because I live near Toronto, and Manoa could be awesome down the stretch or he could be terrible, but sometimes maybe I'm talking trade for him and I'm okay, I need to step back here. Am I actually painting a picture here where I get the 95th percentile version of Alec Manoa, and am I really willing to pay for that in a trade right now? Or am I just swept up in the negotiations on a player who's admittedly pretty risky for the rest of the season?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when I'm looking at my roster, come this time of year in late July, when right before a trade deadline, I'm looking at my roster and I'm saying, listen, of course, value is important, but as you said before, we're shifting to more categorical approach. The raw, straight up value is a little bit less of an issue. I'm looking at risk. If I'm in first place, I want to, de-risk. So take a guy like Mark Canha, okay? He's not super sexy. He's not great in any category, but he's good in everyone. I know he's going to get value down the stretch. I know he's going to give you a little steals, a little bit of homers. He'll be decent in runs. Batting average won't kill you. He's the kind of player you want, and I'm even willing to give somebody a little bit more valuable piece if they're very risky. Take a guy like Aristides Aquino, okay? Very low value, but he's got, to me, a lot of volatility. I can see Aquino as 20 homers down the stretch, or he can be a bench player and hardly bat. If you're in 7th place, that's the kind of guy